Hey, welcome back. My name is James Johnson, and my expertise lies in retirement and estate planning. And what I want to talk to you today about is I want to talk to you about the private reserve strategy. Now, this gets called a lot of things, but for today, we're just going to call it the private reserve strategy so you can understand how the benefits can increase your savings and lower your financial stress. So as we go along here, what happens is the strategy combines unique types of savings accounts with a new approach to your major purchases. Now, what do I mean by that? If we're going to go out and buy a car, buy a house, or any kind of major purchase, how are we going to buy that car? What is going to be our strategy when we go to do that? The key is to save an account with accessibility through collateralization. In other words, leverage our money. So, two key financial concepts. The first one to understand is you finance everything you buy. You either pay interest or you give up the ability to earn interest. I know that's a hard concept for you to understand. Well, no, I paid cash for it. And people tell me all the time, I paid cash for my house. And I say, well, so you financed it. And they say, no, you weren't listening to me. I said, I paid cash for my house. I said, you weren't listening to me. You financed it. Because either you finance it or someone else does. So you give up the use of your cash or you use someone else's cash to do it. So let me use this to give you an example of what that means. So over here, we've built this in our green tank. Now, we all know what our personal economic model is money comes down through this tube over here, and this is our lifetime capital potential. Our yellow tank over here, which is what we call our investment tank, or our green tank over here, which is what we call our safe tank, and then we would have loans and borrowed money, and then we have another tank over here for our house. So what happens here if we go out here and we actually want to finance something, okay? So if we go out and we finance something, we borrow money, and that money comes from our future earning obligations. So it's always going to be paid by anything that we make in the future. So you either borrow from the lender or you pay interest. So the other thing you could do is just go take all your money out of the tank over there and just go pay for it. Now you've paid for it 100%, but you've drained your tank and you've lost what's called opportunity cost. So to illustrate this concept that you finance everything you buy, we're going to make some assumptions. So let's say we're going to go out here and we're going to buy a $50,000 car. Well, it doesn't want to be a $50,000 car. We're going to call it a $30,000 car. And we'll say that finance rate is 5% for 60 months. Well, if we calculate that payment, it's $566.14. We're not going to make any extra payments against it, but we're going to say we could take that money and we could actually invest it at 5% somewhere else. So we borrow at 5 or we invest at 5. Either way, it's going to work out. So you have $30,000 saved in your tank and you need to make a purchase for that same amount. Now, you earn 5% on that account and the lender charges 5% in interest. We're looking at the results over a 60-month period with payments of $566.14. So let's start by going out here and financing it. So as I said, we're financing it with money that come from our future, and we're going to leave our money in our savings account. So our savings account is going to be making that 5% going forward. So making that 5% going forward and paying down that loan every month. Our account over here is going to grow. In 60 months here, we're going to have this completely paid off. And our savings account will have $38,501 in it. Now, let's look at this if we were to go in a different way. So we go out over here and our finance rate was 4% and our opportunity cost was 5%. Then it would be a total that we paid of $37,573, and our safe account over here would have $38,501. At 5 and an opportunity cost of 4, we'd have 36 and we paid 37. Now, what if we paid cash for it? So if we went out here and we just paid $30,000 out the door right up front and we financed it ourselves, and rather than using someone else's money, then we would lose the opportunity cost on that money. Well, to get that money back in our safe tank, we would have to recontribute. So we'll go ahead and recontribute what the car payment would have been. And doing that over 60 months, what we'll find is we're going to come out here to the end of that 60-month period of time, and we're going to have $38,501, the exact same amount of money. Now, the thing to understand is by financing it ourselves, we give up opportunity costs, but it didn't cost us anything less than it would have cost by financing it. And by financing it, we actually had that money sitting in our account that whole time to take care of any emergencies we may have or any other problems we may have in life. So some things to consider here. Assuming that you earn the same rate of interest you would have if you had borrowed it, the cost will be the same. Paying cash drains the tank and resets the compounding. If money in your tank could earn more interest than it cost you to borrow, consider the opportunity cost of draining the tank plus giving up control of the money. Maintaining control of your money may even be worth paying higher interest. So frequently, it actually makes more sense to pay interest by keeping safety and liquidity and rate of return inside of your account. And if it costs more to borrow than you earn, perhaps you should consider other tank alternatives. In other words, not investing your money in something with such a small rate of return. And paying cash is financing, it's self-financing. So there are three types of behavior when it comes to money. There's what's called the spender, the saver, or the wealth creator. To be a wealth creator, you will need a private reserve strategy. So a spender looks like this. They always live below the zero line. They bring money in, they spend it, they bring money in, they spend it, they bring money in, they spend it, and they save no money whatsoever. The saver saves up until they have enough money to do it, and then they drain the tank. And they save up enough to do it, they drain the tank. And they drain the tank. And they're always living at the zero line. Now, the wealth creator, they save up money, but what they do along the way is when they need to make a major capital purchase, they leverage their money. So they use their money as the collateral capacity to use the financial institution money to pay for that, and then they pay for it over time while their money continues to grow. Do you know how rich people get rich and stay that way? The answer is they don't work for their money, they let their money work for them. So that looks like this. So here's the spender, always living below the zero line. They have no green tank, they have no yellow tank, but they don't have any loans either because they're always broke. They have no collateral. Their only option for any major purchase is to borrow the money from someone else. And when they borrow that money, they're just paying it back plus the interest at all times. Now the saver, they're a little bit different. They're saving, and then what they do is they go out here, all right, and they save up enough money till they get what they need, the amount of money they need in order to buy that major capital purchase, and then they go buy it and they drain their tank again. Now the wealth creator, they work a little differently. They are going to go out here and they're going to continue to save and save and save, but rather than using their money, they're going to use their money as the collateral capacity to borrow the financial institution's money. And they diversify those accounts to create some access to capital. And then they use the financial institution's money, leaving their money here to grow for them, while they use this money to do what they want. And should they choose to, they pay back those loans out of their current lifestyle. Now, The strategy in action kind of looks like this. So we go over here and we look at what most people do. And what most people do over here is they go get an amortized loan. They go to the financial institution. And let's say they want to buy a car or house or whatever the case may be. And they're going to have a structured principal and interest payment that they have to pay back to the bank all the time. They're going to continue to pay that back until it's paid off. Now, if we're using a private strategy, the power of this strategy is that you continue to earn compound interest. So we're leaving this over here. And in this world over here, we could pay back these payments if we wanted to and use this loan that's over here and pay it back if we chose to, but we don't have to pay it back. So I count ideal benefits. Well, the reality of the matter is that the money's going to grow tax-deferred growth. It has tax-free distribution. It gets competitive rates of return. We can put in just about any amount of money we want. There are some limits, but most people never hit them. It's deductible contributions, or at least that would be the perfect world. I mean, if we were looking for the perfect world, we would have deductible contributions as well. We'd have collateral opportunities. It'd be safe. We'd have a no-loss provision, guaranteed loan options, unstructured loan payments, liquidity use and control, and additional benefits. Now, in a perfect world, this is where we'd be. We would have all of these things inside of whatever investment that we have. Well, it's not really a perfect world. While many accounts will work as a private reserve strategy, there are some that work better than others. So if we go over here and we take a look at some of these accounts that we're using, such as, for example, our savings and our money market account, well, we could put as much as we want in that high contribution account. We could collateralize it. It's probably safe and there's no losses in it. And we have liquidity use and control, but we don't have tax deferred growth. We have no tax-free distribution. We're not getting good rates of return. It's deductible contributions. No. Are there guaranteed loan options? No. If we borrow the money, do we have to pay it back? Yes. And are there any additional benefits? No. If we look over here at, say, a certificate of disappointment, we have pretty much the same thing. Real estate, we get tax-deferred growth and collateral opportunities. We could argue that we could get it tax-free depending upon how to distribute it, possibly at death. Let's go here, a margin on our stock portfolio. That looks pretty good. Our 401k plan, that's not going to cut it. So really the only thing out here that really works as a potential for a private reserve strategy is a permanent life insurance policy. So we get all of those benefits. The only one we don't get is we don't get to deduct the contributions. Pretty amazing, don't you think? So when we go back over here and we use this money now, we have a choice as to what interest we're going to pay on the loan. Is it going to be variable or fixed? And do we want to pay back the loan or not? See, when we were over there and we borrowed the money from the institution, say on a car payment, and we don't pay the loan, then they come take the car. But when we're using our own money as a collateral to do so, we're not obligated to make that loan payment, and we could keep the car if we pay the loan or not pay the loan. It's our choice. Now, permanent life insurance, when designed and utilized properly, can provide a stable growth, cash value collateralization, guaranteed loan access, no annual tax on growth or death benefits, and additional benefits are available with additional policy riders, such as long-term care, etc. Now, you could go out and you could watch the other video on the 10-minute lesson on life insurance and learn a lot more on this subject, or come back or set up a no cost, no obligation appointment, and we'll show you how to build your own private reserve strategy. Remember to go out, visit our website at www.yoursafemoneypeople.com, set up a no cost, no obligation appointment, live like you're going to die tomorrow, and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. Keep smiling, and I'll see you next time.